Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spirit Talkers, your favorite paranormal podcast where we talk about, yes, everything paranormal, cryptid, native folklore, and anything else going on in the world that we may see that is eerie. Is that right, Chris?
That is correct. And tonight we're going to talk about the spirits of Osage County just for you. I'm excited about this episode. Had a lot of thought about it, and I know lately everybody's been, hitting me up and, with all the things going on, I thought it'd be only justice if we gave some info on Osage County this go around. The ghost or the spirits of Osage County. Osage County has a lot of spirits, that they got a lot of stories of cryptids and spirits and all kinds of things that go on. And, as you know, we've done some shows down there, Hominy, and we've done some investigations in Pawhuska and, stuff like that. So, when a couple of people hit me up, they said, why don't you do a episode on Osage County, and I messaged Russell and told him, and he's down for it. So here you guys go.
Here you go. Well, we talk about the live show we did, and the one thing, amazing show, amazing hospitality, and we had a great time there. But I still bring it up and I still talk about it. Is the lady? Remember the lady, the mysterious lady that was walking around there?
Yeah,
we didn't see her.
Mm-hmm.
You might have. No.
So she rode home with me. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but who brought that up to your attention?
It was a man named Eugene Big Soldier the Third, and he's from the Iowa Nation here in Oklahoma, in Perkins. And he's a big follower, and he always listens to all our podcasts. I'm sure he's listening to it now. We want to thank you for, listening and definitely bringing that to our attention, and not only him, but there were several other ones that, kind of talked about the same woman. Georgia Hoffman, relative for you. She's Pawnee and Oto, and, she had talked about seeing that lady too. And I can't remember. There was another guy there that talked about seeing her. And there was just something about her presence that was there, that just kind of gave them the, this wasn't right, type feeling. And so I always thought that was pretty cool, and again, these are three different people that don't talk to each other, so they all had the same story, seeing the same lady, and I remember going back and asking Russell, did you guys see her? Did y'all remember her? I even asked people that where she was supposedly sitting. I asked some of those lookouts if they seen her, and they didn't, so again, I don't know,
Now, it's still daytime, but do you think that was Dear Woman?
I would definitely really consider that, because, that night we were telling several different Dear Woman stories that night. And even Eugene said when he was going home, he had his daughters, and they was talking about that lady on their way home. And they started joking about her. And about that time, a deer come out of the woods, jumped right in front of their truck. They almost hit her. And it was a doe. He knew it was a doe. He hunts all the time. He knows the difference. He said it just went into the woods. So, again, I don't know. I would believe, that there are things out there that we cannot explain. So I definitely would say that. Another thing, we went and we were in that Pawhuska area. I did a ghost show over there, had a ghost storytelling event, and that went real good. And there were some eerie stories that came out of there. But one thing I liked was when we went to that cowboy museum.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was, awesome. Again, Pawhuska is in Osage County, and that's kind of the heart of Osage Nation. They got their tribal complex there, and a lot of different things. But, that area alone has a lot of stories. I was told by an individual that long time ago, during their dances, sometimes they would see a Bigfoot type creature, which, those Osages would refer to him as Hairy Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they would call him. A lot of times they knew if they saw him coming around their dance area that, something, major was going to happen. Something, and couple of times that everybody talked about, there were, profound things that happened during each one of those visits. They lost somebody on one. Second one, something happened that they, all benefited from. And then the third one was, another leader passing away, So, with these stories, and these stories go back, way back, and so, they got strange things going on in Pawhuska, they also have, Bird Creek School. It was a Indian boarding school up there in Pawhuska. And that's also supposed to be a real haunted area. Now, my understanding, though, right now, I don't know if the building is still there or intact, but they still say that ground or that area is still pretty haunted. You still have interaction with things, but I really like those stories when they talk about the Green-Eyed Bridge.
So what is that?
Green Eyes is a spirit or an entity that, they say when you go across this bridge, you'll see it in the woods or across that little puddle of water. And they say, if you're by yourself, though, sometimes those green eyes not only will be in the woods, but it'll jump in your back seat. And you'll see those green eyes sitting in your back seat. I've even heard a few stories where they see it, in the passenger side. And, it'll travel along with them, for a distance, and then it'll just stop. And a lot of people, try to figure out exactly what it is, but this has been going on since the 1940s.
Whoa.
So.
I haven't heard of that one, but I mean, I wouldn't count it out as like something that doesn't happen, right? And then I also heard about Bigfoot being around, because I remember my dad used to say, like, don't venture off too far, because he would say, like, Bigfoot's around. But as a kid, you don't know if, like, your parents are kidding around or just trying to get you to not do bad stuff, I guess, like venture way off and get lost, I guess. But you bring that up, like they call him Hairy Man.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of stories about him being around their dances, a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Pawhuska had a story about him, and even the Gray Horse Osages, they have stories. What is her name? She's a Moore, Tracy Moore. Anyway, she told me last time I was down there for a dance. And she was talking about, all her elders used to tell her stories about seeing that hairy man around Gray Horse. And I guess a few years back, right before COVID, she saw him walking through those woods. At first, she thought it might have been somebody that got lost. But, when she took a good look, this guy was super tall. And again, when he stepped out into the moonlight, she could tell he was hairy.
Mm-hmm.
So, after that, she went back to where all her kinfolks were, at camp. So she definitely believes, those things come around. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, that was right before COVID. So, and I've heard a lot of stories like that. Right before COVID, people were seeing him all over the place, and bam, you had that happen. So,
COVID hit.
Yeah.
Now is that so? I remember we discussed like skunk ape, right? Then Bigfoot. Now it's like hairy man's just the same as Bigfoot, right?
That's correct.
Okay, there's no difference. Or
Yeah,
anything.
there's just a difference in area, So I think they adapt to their environment, Especially like that skunk ape, you'll find him around Florida, Louisiana, and stuff like that. He's, of course, he's they call him skunk ape because he really stinks. He stinks worse than the other Bigfoots. So, but I think it's because he's around that water, that swamp,
Mm-hmm.
that still water, So I don't know.
They said he swims in there, right? Like he
Yeah,
goes around in the swamps and
yeah. He'll even get in there and attack alligators and stuff and eat what do they call it? Water turtles.
those snapping turtles.
Yeah,
Alligator snapping turtles.
yeah. They say he really likes those things.
Whoa.
That's what attracts him. He'll grab them and devour them. Put salt and pepper on them sometimes. No,
Tony's.
God.
He's shorter, right? Like skunk ape, he's shorter than.
Yeah, they say. Well, he's still like
shorter,
7 or 8 foot.
Mm-hmm.
So like around here they'll say he's like 9, 10, 12 feet tall. And
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, he's a little bit shorter, and I've heard people. I don't know if you call them experts or what, but I go to a lot of these Bigfoot, what do you call it, conventions and stuff like that, and of course you got all these scientific people getting up, talking about how he's this way or that way, but again, they always say, he's that skunk ape. He is smaller and he looks more like an ape, more than those other Bigfoots.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I ain't one of those scientific dudes. So
Yeah.
I barely finished 3rd grade, so
And you're here.
I'm here. Barely can talk, but I'm here. No.
And then you brought up we did that Ben Johnson investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. I thought it was I haven't done like an investigation since I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And that one was pretty crazy, but this one, I felt like like you're never ready for stuff, but I just feel like I was more in tune with like the spirits because we talk about them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you've taught me how there are good ones, there are bad ones, and you've taught me to like show respect to them all the time, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
leaving offerings maybe, or like just coming in there and being like, we don't mean any disrespect. We're just here to communicate if possible, right? Like we didn't go in there like just kicking the door down and just yelling around and being all crazy, right? We went in there like respectfully, and we were just trying to communicate with them if that was like a thing. And so that's where for me it was a lot different from when I first did my first investigation to now, because I'm older, I understand more, I've become more knowledgeable, and it's just like teachings from this podcast and yourself. I mean, you're knowledgeable in everything that we talk about. And so when we went there, I wasn't like afraid, I don't think. I mean, I was just, me and you were just kind of like there to communicate. But I was saying like Joe and, what's his name? The owner.
Cody.
They were terrified, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They sure were. Yeah, and that to me, I think that's what made it more active because of their fear.
Mm-hmm.
It gave more energy in the air for them things to feed off of. So they could manifest and communicate with us. You always hear all these people talking about positive energy. And spirits really need that. They need a lot of positive energy to move things or to appear. And to me that was just a great time. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. I like the old school technique of the flame.
Mm-hmm.
When we were up in the attic, and was it a person that helmet, right? Somebody
Yes.
that was somebody that died recently, or
Mm.
was it in the past?
He was. I think he said it was in the last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty recent.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there's always certain items people hold to, and they get that connection. And I think that helmet might have been one of them for him, because they said, that's what he liked to do is ride motorcycles. So anyway, that's what took him out. So.
Yeah, yeah. But I like the old school because we had some new stuff on there, like what were they called? The cat balls.
Yeah.
That light up if they were touched, and then we had the voice recorders, of course. Then we had the spirit box. We had that, but then we had the candles all around.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been telling people, when we went up in the attic, it was dark. There was no air coming through. And whenever we were speaking by the helmet, that's when that flame was going crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would just wave around like there was somebody blowing on it. And then all of a sudden it would stop. It would be at a stop, and it would just be still. And then once you would ask something else, it would start going crazy again. And it was, seeing that, I was like, wow. Because I'd never heard of that technique before of using those candles like that.
Mm-hmm. That's a old way of ghost hunting. They always said, those spirits they have that. Well, flame or fire has its own spirit, so they're able to talk with one another. True. Communicate, and Muskogee people, we're fire people, and a lot of times we talk to that fire. So I always like using those, fire if I can. So I know a lot of places we go into, you can't always use them. So, but that's the beauty, and I've told everyone this before, when you go ghost hunting, I guess what you might call it, everything people's not gonna believe. I don't care if you have the most scientific tool with you, people's not gonna believe it. And you can have the simplest tool, and they still ain't gonna believe it. So as long as what is taking place, then that's all you need. And that's the way I always look at it. I'm not looking at it for views or to get famous or anything like that. I truly do it to communicate with these spirits. I want to know what happens when you take that long walk, and so luckily we've been able to get some info. So I'm always learning. I'm the first one to say, I don't know everything, and I'm not the smartest guy out there, and I make tons of mistakes. So anyway, I really liked, the opportunity to talk about these spirits in Osage County. I've been to several different events lately, and of course I got a lot of those Osages, coming up to me and telling me, oh, you need to talk about this or talk about that. So, one thing, I had mentioned, I went to that Killers of the Flower Moon, I don't know, what would you call it?
Private, or let's say like cast and crew screening, I guess.
Yeah, private event screening for the Osage Nation people. And, some of the people from the cast, got to join in and partake. And I will say this much about the movie: it's gonna be a good one. Historically, they did their best, and that director, that Martin Scorsese,
Mm-hmm.
man, he did a magnificent job with it. You got some top of the line talent in there. You got Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio, what was that, Jesse
Plemons.
Plemons,
Mm-hmm.
and of course you have Lillian Gladstone. Man, I tell you what, if she don't get an award from this, I mean, I'm gonna be shocked. She had some heart wrenching scenes in there. I know everybody's talking about her too. And there's one I want to talk about. Is that Kara Jaden Myers?
Oh yeah.
She plays Anna Brown in this movie, and man, I tell you what, she did an amazing job there. I was very impressed. With the caliber of actors and actresses on this set. I mean, she held her own. She owned that role, and she did a magnificent job. And she's always super nice. She's one of those that you can go up and talk to, and it sounds like you might know her. After you finish, because she's very personable,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very kind. And she'll say some good words to you, and whoever brought her up good in that good way. She's truly a good one. Lillian Gladstone too. She's a real nice person, individual. I thought they were both outstanding, and not only on the screen but behind the scenes. They were real nice. They would come up to you, ask you, are you all right? Things, you need anything, and I just think they were just pretty good people, and there's other major stars on there that I know I didn't know who they were. Of course I don't watch those kind of other kind. I only watch like scary movies and action. So I don't know those other kind of movies. I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. But a lot of those actors on there, I mean, they were real respectful. You would think they were, just I just think they could. A lot of times you think some of those guys might be too into themselves. But for the most part, most of them were real kind and giving and things like that. So and again even at that private screening, people were saying, yeah, hey guy, you need to talk about this. I got you need to talk about this. And everybody said Christopher Uncle Hill's here, and they said, dang, they come up to that and tell me stories and stuff like that. And I thought, man, that was pretty cool, and I thought it was just a pretty good showing of this movie and the support that the Osage Nation and the Osage people supported this movie. And that's the thing that I was worried about is sometimes when they do a movie like this, sometimes they lose focus.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've read that book, you're going to find the atrocities that happened during this time. And these were real people, and that's something I keep stressing to people, that when you go see this movie, a lot of these families are still alive. They're
Mm-hmm.
still around, and they still have that hurt and those harsh feelings, within their families about these things that have happened. And so, I know that was hard for anybody to capture, But I think they did a pretty good job. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. As it's gonna be an amazing movie when it comes out in October.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm mad I didn't get the invite. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I forgot. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. No. I mean, it's a tough subject because, well, I was gonna bring up too. I didn't even know about it until I went to college. Right? Like I went to college, and then I started actually getting into these books and history and real history that happened to our people and everything. And that was probably like 2010 or 11, and so public schools never ever talked about this kind of stuff. Like they never brought up this real history that happened to our people and everything. And so I was just like blown away about everything that was talked about.
Well, there's always artistic, twist to things, but for the most part, he did his very best, and you're right, on the things that you're saying, and that's the good thing I like about this movie, and I'm hoping this will cause a ripple effect within the United States because again the American Indian was really, really done wrong. There's not a tribe out there that don't have a story similar to this, and again, this is one that's actually getting told. The atrocities that happen to these Osages, again, in a roundabout way, there was atrocities across the board for all these tribes, whether it was the Trail of Tears, whether it was, water rights, hunting rights, land rights, there's a lot of things that even to this day, things like this happen. All these atrocities happen all throughout the United States, but, we as Indian folks, we always think about those things. We've talked about spirit plates. We talked about, sometimes, we honor our dead. These are some of the ceremonies that Indian folks are forgetting. Just like these people in this book, they were massacred, for whatever reason, for oil and money and land, and, we had ceremonies, to honor these guys because, we as Indian folks, we always understood these guys are still around, and, not to offend anybody, again, these stories were about real people, and they died in horrible ways. As Indian folks, we understand their spirits are still there, and I'm hoping, through this movie that, myself included, we did them some honor in telling this story, participating in this story, that sheds light on the things that they happened to them. And maybe now, after all these years, they can rest in peace. And maybe this might give some of these families closure. And, again, I know a lot of people wanted us to talk about, the spirits in Osage County, the different things, and, that's kind of why I wanted to do this, to give honor and respect back, for the Osage people for doing these things and letting others participate. I do hope, good things come out of this showing of this movie, and not only are there spirits like that, but they've got other spirits that have died in horrible ways. So again, that's why everybody said, well, you need to talk about this in Osage County or that in Osage County. And so I wanted to listen to our listeners, try to give them just a little bit, and be respectful, not that I want to name any names or call any families out or anything like that. I was just wanting to take this time and talk about other spirits, again, like we mentioned before, and they've got other things. You got that what is it that I forgot what it's called, some kind of healing rock in Skytook. They say that healing rock, sometimes you'll see spirits there, and again, it's supposed to be helpful if you're sick or things like that, and so all through Osage County, there's stories of different spirits and different entities and different cryptids, even again with Hominy, bringing it back to Hominy.
Yeah, it says the healing rock in Skytook is a natural formation rumored to have healing powers by the local Osage and Quapaw Indians of the 19th century. According to the legend, anyone who felt unwell could lean against the rock to receive healing powers.
Yeah. They also have that Hominy train station there in Hominy. And the ghosts that roam that one, they'll say you'll see them walking in and out. Some dressed like old-time business people, and some look like military people, getting ready to catch that train. I thought that was pretty cool. Going back to Hominy, that house I was talking about was that Fred and Addie Drummond home in Hominy. He was another wealthy individual, that kind of took advantage of people, and stuff. All those wealthy guys, they didn't get wealthy by being nice. So you guys got to understand that, and of course they did some horrible things to people, but, they say, you go by that house, you'll see a woman looking out the window sometimes, or you'll see a man in what is it? It's like 40s or 50 clothes. He'll be walking around in the yard, and so, of course we went by there, that evening, but we didn't stop. But, I've got an opportunity to go and check those places out. And of course, you have that park we went to. That park was pretty good too. I thought we captured a lot of stuff. That park has a lot of history, to it too. I don't want to go too much in detail because I know the families are still around, so I'll just say that much about that park. And I think we caught, quite a bit of stuff over there, on audio and video and even on that, those ghost machines. So, again, talking about the spirits of Osage County, there's several of them. Another place, we talk about is Fairfax. Yeah. And in that movie, they talk about Fairfax. And, they talk about a little town called Burbank as well. Both those places, they have certain areas. The theater there in Fairfax is well known to be haunted. They're trying to raise funds right now to kind of, how you say it, remodel it, or what do you call it, revitalize it, or I don't know what the word is. But they're trying to save that theater there in Fairfax. But a lot of that story in the Killers of the Flower Moon was in that was its original place, was Fairfax. And so and in the movie they talk about Burbank. And then of course, bringing it all the way home, they talk about a little place called Ralston. And Ralston, Oklahoma, and that's not too far from Fairfax. And that's where they talk about the famous bar that Anna Brown was last seen at, before she ended up disappearing, And Ralston, as itself, has a lot of history. And, luckily, we're going to get an opportunity to go there and look around and get to go inside, a couple of those places. But, again, that little strip had a couple of bars and it had a theater that, still, the facilities are still there. Of course, they're not being used as that, except for that theater. I believe it's still being used. But I'm shocked to hear that, though. But, again, I guess Ralston, I guess they have theater there. So, not like movie theater. It's like a real theater. I don't know what you call it. Like where you act and stuff.
Oh, like for plays?
Yeah. But it used to be an old theater, where they did plays. And, of course, back then they used to get rowdy in there, too. So, that place is known to be super haunted. So, again, that whole place of Ralston has a lot of history, and I was also told, on both sides, Pawnees and Osages, they didn't get along way back in the old country, and they brought that stuff to Ralston. So a lot of those stories kind of go back to that old struggle back then. But again, Ralston is historically a good place. They also have a Ralston Cafe that I will say, if you haven't been there, you needs to go, because they have the Bigfoot Challenge. And myself, I got beat by that Bigfoot Challenge, man. It's like 3 big old pancakes, big as a plate.
What?
And they give you all these eggs and hash browns and bacon or sausage. And I love pancakes. Pancakes are my weakness. That's my kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, man, I'm going to do this. Me and my nephew, we was going up there, and dang, I didn't even get a quarter of those pancakes done, man. I was stuffed. My nephew, Kingston, he can really eat too.
Mm-hmm.
We both can eat. Man, he said, let me try it, unks. I said, all right, go at it then. I said, I ate all I could. I starting to see blurry. My diabetes started kicking in.
Seeing spots.
I know. I said, dang, can't handle it. Tongue got all. I was going crazy. And so he jumped on it and tried, but we didn't even eat maybe half of those pancakes. We didn't even touch the eggs and bacon. So you guys are brave. Y'all need to go to Ralston.
Trying it tomorrow.
Let's do it there.
You.
Oh. Good. The whole crew will take it on. No, I'm just kidding. But I take extra diabetic medicines, I guess, tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding. Take 2 shots. Yeah, we'll have someone taking us around. Mr. Wayne Ray. He's Fairfax Osage, and he's very knowledgeable about Ralston. He's lived there most of his life. So again, I'm really looking forward to that, visitation, learning about the things. This is a place that I know nobody else has gone to, and a lot of people don't know the history of this place. But again, after this movie comes out, Killers of the Flower Moon, it's talked about that. They even have a scene in there about Ralston. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be pretty cool. So
Is that where Anna shoots the gun?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. So
yeah.
Anyway, she's, like I said, that Kara Jaden Myers, man, she was keen in there. Boy, she was that serious ending auntie. I was wanting to take pictures of her like that, boy. Just
No, she's always super nice. I'm glad she got that role. And when I was talking to her on Okie podcast, she was talking about how so much history she didn't know about. She had to learn it, and it just tore her up because of everything that happened and the atrocities. I mean, real history that happened.
You know, most of those actors, they really impressed me because they had to learn Osage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, and that blew me away. I was like, golly, these guys picked it up in a matter of time. So I thought that was pretty amazing. You know, all these guys, you know, they all picked it. Even Leonardo, boy, he's talking full Osage now, boy.
That's crazy because he knows Pawnee and Osage now.
Yeah, I know it.
And the Revenant, he spoke Pawnee.
Dang, that guy's gonna be more Indian than anybody.
I'm still learning. Oh, I'm jealous.
God, I know it, boy. I said, dang that guy. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, like I said, and I'm excited about tomorrow because again, you know, I too had to learn, you know, a lot of history and a lot of stuff. You know, I was eager to read that book and I read it. You know, with that third grade education, trying to read a book, boy, it was tough, but I did it, you know, and I learned a lot from it. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to go to Ralston. If we just look around, you know, I've been through there many times, you know.
Same here.
But, you know, I've never stopped except for that cafe, you know, and they got good steaks too, I'll say that. But yeah, I'm really expecting a lot of activity because again, this is old town, and you know they had a lot of scuffles there, whether it was Osage and Pawnees or Indians and Cowboys. You know, it had a lot of. It was just a rough town back then, and you know now it's almost a ghost town. But you know there's still quite a bit of people. I was shocked on how many people actually still live there because it don't look like that many people. But if you drive off that main street through the neighborhoods, you know there's quite a bit of homes in there.
Really?
So I was shocked. So even by that river, you know, again there was a lot of stories about, you know, they said there was a group of Indians that were camped there, and they got real sick with that measles, and they all passed away basically, you know, from that measles. And back then, you know, during that time that they're talking about, that's when the U.S. government started issuing those blankets out with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were one of the tribes that just, you know. So again, you know that Ralston area, you know, you asked that question, you know, I'm really expecting, you know, hopefully at least, you know, find something, you know. But you know, again, you know, people got to understand that you can go to the most haunted place in the world, and sometimes, you know, you might not catch anything, or you might have this experience, but your equipment don't pick it up.
Yeah.
And so it always relies with you as an individual. I've always said that. You can use all this fancy equipment you want, but it's this that's going to reign true. And, you know, if you get it here, then that's all that needs to be said. You know, but, you know, I know a lot of people want to see things on TV, and you know, I know people want to sell shows and stuff like that, but sometimes it's not as easy as that. So, but I'm expecting some great things there.
Yep. Like you told me too, it's all in here. You got to be getting tuned and get focused, right?
That's right.
You got to focus in on connecting with the spirits and just kind of tuning in to what it is you're doing. Like you got to focus and like with remember the giant I was talking about in the rain?
Yes.
I didn't have anything on me, but I know I saw it, man.
Yeah.
I know I saw this outline, and the rain was hitting it, and it ran from that light pole to this tree and hit it. I know I saw it. I mean, I'm kind of getting chills talking about it now, but I did leave an offering out for it, though, after we talked about it, because it was kind of, it started to thunder and lightning last night, so I had some tobacco, and, you know, I said what I said, and I just left it for it, so, yeah. Well, I'm excited, too, because, you know, I know Pawnees and Osages, they kind of mingled throughout, but like you, man, like I've driven through Ralston and never stopped there to hang out or anything, and just to kind of hear that, you know, I'm interested to hear if we might hear some Pawnee words being spoken. But you're just in the movie. Did you film in Ralston? Were you there filming?
Actually, I didn't, but, you know, I had several on the cast that told me that they had their own paranormal experience on the set.
I was going to ask you that.
And one individual, you know, he was part of the I don't know what you call it. They go put up the sets. His job was to go in there and make those torn up buildings look like they were still active. And you know, he had to go and look at these pictures and recreate what that town was supposed to look like. You know, now remember when he put this together, it wasn't permanent, you know, and so it was just kind of, I don't know, you say make believe or, you know, visual for people watching the movie. They could say, oh, that looks like a real building, and that was his job. And you know, he had several experiences with, and the people that worked with him said the same thing, you know, that they would see people that, you know, looked like they were part of the cast. This one, he was telling me that he thought they were part of the cast till he walked through the wall. I said, man, are you serious? And those other ones that was working with him said they were there and they saw that. They swear up and down that's what happened, you know. And then one individual was telling me, you know, he was, you know, when they filmed there in Ralston, it was late at night. You know, they filmed like after midnight, and they would film till morning. And they said sometimes they would have to go to use the restroom, and said there they only had like 2 porta potties or something like that. You know, and sometimes it was packed and they couldn't hold it. You know, so they'd go like in the alley or something like that. And again, they thought they saw somebody. But when they looked again, it was gone.
Whoa.
You know, and they would see, you know. So I don't know, them filming there might have activated, you know, some of these guys that were already there, you know. And so also one of the main characters that I can't mention, yeah, he was telling me this story that night of that private showing. You know, he said in his what do you call it? His
room?
His trailer, I guess.
Yeah, trailer.
And anyway, he said he got to wait in there, you know, because it had AC and everything, and you know, he would wait in there till they came and got him. And so sometimes he, you know, said it was so late, you know, he'd kind of close his eyes and feel like, you know, he'd go to sleep, but then he'd hear somebody in there with him. He'd hear them clear their throats, and he'd wake up and he'd look, and there was nobody there. He said, I'll tell you, because you're a hunk of hill. He said, but he said, I'm gonna take that. He said, I'll just keep that amongst my family, you know. So I thought, man, that's pretty cool, you know. And this guy, you know, he's a big time star. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So, you know, I know on that set of Ralston, you know, several had experiences. So, you know, again, that's another reason I'm kind of excited to do this. You know, even when they filmed in Fairfax, several of them had experiences there in Fairfax. Again, those art department people, they would say they would sense something or they would feel something, or sometimes they would see just real quick out of the corner of their eyes, someone darting off.
Mm-hmm.
And most of these guys that were on that Fairfax, they were all Indian folks that were building stuff. A lot of them, a couple of them were Osage guys.
Mm.
And so, their experience there in Fairfax, they all came and told me, those experiences there. And they said, you need to do that. You need to go there, And, again, I just myself, just want to be respectful as possible, and again, if I get an opportunity, I get an opportunity. But if not, that's okay too. I got the stories. That's good enough for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel so good that we got this opportunity to go to Ralston. We got that invite.
Same here. He's excited as well, correct?
Yeah, he's very excited. Mm-hmm. So, he was one of them ones at the private showing.
Oh, really?
That was, saying, yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that. You guys are always talking about this, but this is what's real. We got real stuff in Ralston. So I'm aiming to, see what I can do. So I'm coming.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited too. I can't wait. Where are we? Are we going everywhere?
Right now, I want to focus on Ralston, but I think he's going to take us to Fairfax, and then he's going to take us to a place called Burbank, and I think that's also the place that they used to call Whiz Bang, or it might be two different places. I'm not too certain on that, but I know we're going to see it. So anyway, if you read the book, you'll know these places that we're going to go.
And so before we probably cut it, I believe Chris had a story that somebody sent him that he wanted to share.
Yes, I have. She sent a story. I'm gonna have Russell read this story because I'm getting tired. I can't see.
At the time, he was just starting out as a tribal police officer and was patrolling over Fairfax one night. He decided to stop by Fairfax jail to see what the on-duty cop was doing. Killing some time on his shift, they were talking inside the jail and they heard banging coming from the back where the cells were. He asked the Fairfax cop who was back there, and he says no one. So they go investigate and see what's going on. They investigate. My cousin decided to take some pictures of the jail cell back there to see if he can see anything. Looking back at his photos, you can see the orbs and someone standing in the jail cell. Whoa.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Dude. I see the orb, and there is somebody in a jail cell. That's incredible.
That's crazy.
That looks really scary. I don't think I should be looking at this.
Is it dark yet? No.
Not yet. Almost there, but this is that's crazy. What year was this? She doesn't say a year, but and that's in Fairfax?
Mm-hmm.
We got to go there next.
We are going by there, remember?
Are we?
Yeah, he's going to take us by there.
So we'll be going there where that entity is in the jail cell. And I might not go. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you going. You don't.
I might have to get busy tomorrow. No. No, that's incredible, man. That's incredible proof of what we look for, what we talk about and everything. And I mean, and just the Fairfax area where we're going. I mean, I know there's stuff there, but now everybody has proof, and I would love to hear more, see more from people that live there.
Yeah, I really want to thank our listeners. Again, our success to this podcast, is not just us; it's you guys as the listeners. And again, we are Indians. We're from Indian country, and I want everybody to feel a part of this show. And with all you guys from pole to pole, from coast to coast, as they would say. You guys have all helped us all through Indian country. We've even gotten stories from Alaska and Canada, and it's because of you, the listeners. And again, I want to say Mado for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you so much. We're nothing without you. And, man, we're just looking forward to any live event, anything we do. I mean, it's all for the people. And I love how they talk about how they're so thankful for the stories we share. Because if you look on our podcast on iTunes, there's like comments down there, and one of them just said like, "Thank you guys for sharing these stories and information because my tribe thinks it's a bad omen to do that." But I mean, it's not like we're sharing like. We know what to share. We know what not to share, right? Like we always say that. We always say there's certain things you don't talk about. There's names you don't mention. And there's just a lot of, it's tricky. It can be tricky, but I think we do it right. And to hear comments like that, where it's like, hey, I didn't know this, or like we talk about too, like grandma and grandpa aren't there to talk about this stuff. And so, but it goes back to our viewers, our listeners, man. Thank you so much for everything.
God.
I thought it was a wreck. Is that thunder? Okay.
Uh-oh. No.
The Giants. I left my offering out, so we're good.